Hello. So I was doing some Microsoft Aspire work, which I'm going to talk about in a future post. Going to be leveraging. My idea here is to have an agent to agent, running Python, running a bunch of other languages, all within Microsoft Aspire. Use kind of Microsoft Aspire as the orchestration tooling for everything. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, no worries. I'll have a future video about it. But what kind of reminded me as I was doing it is I just used one of its templates where I created a Python TypeScript um, Microsoft Aspire app using one of their like Hello World template sort of things, and it resulted in this C# file. So Microsoft Aspire, again, something I'll talk about later, went the route of file-based apps for C#. So there's just a single C# file here that it will execute and will result in Microsoft Aspire to spin up. So the orchestration of Microsoft Aspire. So that's not what this video is about, but that just kind of keep my memory of like, yeah, I guess I should probably dig into more of the file-based apps that was introduced with .NET 10. Um, and kind of demonstrate that. So what do I mean by that? Well, so here's a C# file. It's not in a C# project, and you can now run these with .NET 10 runtime or SDK installed. So if I run this, see, it just runs Hello World. And so how does that work? In case anybody's curious, well, it actually is doing the same general thing that like it still follows the spec of actually creating a exe and whatnot, but it does it in some other working folder, and you can actually find that if you really wanted to by so in this case I'm just saying what's my app context base directory and spit it out. So when I run this file, you should be able to see. So if I run the hello where I am, I'm putting where it is, and if I open that up, you will see that it actually creates an exe DLL and whatnot. So it actually does all this behind the scenes, and it does it in some temporary location, as you can tell here. So it's doing the same things that C# .NET stuff does, but in kind of like a hidden manner, so allowing you to use this. It also, for those that are on the Unix base, I'm not. I'm on a Windows. You can actually, it even supports this thing called shebang. Those that are in the Unix world probably very familiar with this, but this is just a way to this plus making the file executable. It just then knows you could just run it as just hello or hello where I am, and it'll just run this application. So you don't even have to put the .NET run in front of it. so so that's all kind of interesting. And here's another one here of I'm doing a oops. So if I .NET run this one, which is a minimal API, so I'll just run this, and this is a hello API name. Yeah, I'll just run that. And so if you see here, it's saying that it's using the .NET SDK. You bring in, and there's other directives, I guess you would say, that you could use up here. So by the way, this is just to demonstrate that this is working. Go here, and this is just web API. So I'm able to just in a simple file do a minimal API C#. So the short version is I can do anything I want to in C# world, which I love because type safe language, fully familiar with it. You know, um, and then this way too, you can possibly replace like your PowerShell scripts that are out there too. So 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 then it kind of key to me. I'm like, well, wait a second. There's something else in the world that's going on. That's I think most people are familiar with, but I'll say it out loud. Oh, by the way, I have some links here showing the file-based apps. There's a little tutorial that I went through is great. If you're doing NuGet packages, those familiar with NuGet, there's a new tab here that says file-based apps. And so if I wanted to reference and do work with Entity Framework within a file-based apps, I could just put this at the top of my file, and then I could use all of its code. So this is how you do the project references or DLL references by doing that. Um, yeah, so this was the announcement that was done on May 2025. Um, I think this is when it was announced, and then it was officially released with .NET 10. Certainly, there was other ways to do this. Oh yeah, this is the ignore directive, so you can put these other things that are up top there. That's the shebang that I talked about. In fact, that's an SDK project. What are you targeting? What are you bringing in as packages? all that support that's in those file-based apps. Certainly, there were other ways to do this in the past that people were doing. There's this .NET Script, I believe. There's a couple of other ones, but now it's just built into the .NET 10 framework. So that's all cool. So then I started to thinking, okay, well, there's also this thing that people have probably been hearing about called skills, and so what do I mean by that? Well, Anthropic introduced a thing called agent skills, and all of the all of the IDEs seem to be supporting it these days. So whether that's Google's anti-gravity or obviously Claude code supports as well, and so does VS Code. So what do I get by that? So if you create a .github um, folder, if you put a skills folder within that, then you can create skills. And so skills would be, as you're chatting with an agent, it will then look to see, are there any skills that I can use to help answer this request? And so it does it in a very lightweight manner. And so what do I mean by that? Well, so I'll just show you one of my skills here. So this is a skill, and it's just a hello JavaScript skill, and so this is what makes it a skill, is these three hyphens, a name and description and three hyphens. So this right here is what, from my understanding, the agent looks at when it's determining, do I have a skill to be able to answer my question? And then everything after it are like kind of like instructions of, yeah, and now do these things. So in this case, I'm saying, like, if I say hello JavaScript here, so I'll just go in a different file so you don't think I'm cheating. So if I say hello JavaScript, you'll see that this chat window looks to see, it says, okay, says, yeah, I found, I'll read the skill instructions for those JavaScript to see how to respond. So it determined that there was a skill out there, and it wants to run a script file. So I'll show that here while that's running, which is just going to tell me my system information is the idea. So here's my system information. There's my machine and all and whatnot. Uh, so what does that look like? So it's a skill MD file saying, please respond when someone says hello JavaScript, and run this script and respond with this template. And this template just says how I want to respond. So all of this is optional. You don't have to. Most skills that I've seen are simple instructions for, here's the rest of a prompt to use, but you can execute scripts. So that's a JavaScript one. You can do I have a hello world for Python. So if I say hello Python, that'll initiate my Python skill. So I'll show that here. And that's just hey, when someone says hello Python, execute this Python script and this Python script. And of course, it's asking for permission to do so, which you can, say allow always if you wanted to. And so it's going to execute that Python script. And again, similarly, Python script just outputs what my, why did it execute that twice? I'm not sure. Anyways, yeah, it just tells me what my machine looks like. But now, of course, because of the single file in C#, that makes it more exciting for me, because now I can write C# files that do the same thing. So this is just regular C# code, and do whatever you want to do, right? So just like I was showing that, you know, I was showing like a minimal API. I was showing you can import packages, that SQL Server Entity Framework, whatever you want it to do, you can do. And so if I say hello C# over here, it will. My skill says, hey, respond when somebody says hello C#. And so now, if you see here, it says, yeah, I'm going to run the .NET run this C#. So I'm going to say, yeah, go for that. And that's because I kind of encouraged it, by the way. I had to kind of tell it what it should be doing when it encounters that. And so sure enough, there's the output, which is this right here. So yeah, so that I just thought I'd kind of show that about how now with file-based apps in C#, and GitHub Copilot, and Visual Studio Code, and Visual Studio 2, I believe. I haven't tried it there, but all support skills, and those skills could now be C# programs, file-based apps. So yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. And any questions, just reach out.